We are so amped about our guest today. Today is jam-packed full of Race for the Rail 2023 champions. This is the first time. She's a first-time guest. She set records this year. Wondering if anyone could ever do it, go back-to-back in winning Race for the Rail. Well, we have our answer. Rachel Cecil Diesel, whatever you want to call it. She's just known for being fast on a one-wheel. She has got skills like no one else. She is from Atlanta. She is your Race to the Rail 2023 champion. She's going to be here. We're going to get to chat with her, interview her, ask all the questions we want to ask with her. She's on her lunch break. She is a woman of multiple talents. She was a former amazing soccer athlete, turned to one-wheel athlete. I don't know what her day job is, but it is got to do something about winning because that's all she does. Everyone, this is Rachel Cecil. How you doing, Rachel Cecil?
Hey. What an intro.
Great. Thanks for that intro. That was pretty sick.
Yeah. Well, it's always fun to introduce a first-time guest. What gets tough, Rachel, is when you guys come back to back in interviews, and then it's like, well, how do I up the one we did before because you can't repeat it? And so
you just make it great for every single person.
We try. It's easy with these.
Every person.
So they're so cool. You guys are so cool.
Yeah.
So that's easy.
Yeah, we're like in the presence of greatness. So
we are. I mean, in our sport, we are with one of the GOATs. She
first one to ever do it.
Right. That's the great thing about your title, Rachel, is that no one did it.
Excited dancing.
No one did it, but Tyler came along and won again, but he had a break. You did it back to back. Mm-hmm. How does it feel? Has it sunk in?
Oh, man. I don't know if it's sunk in yet. I have been working so hard. 90 days out from the race, I've just been busting my butt training for it. And so it's that feeling of your hard work paying off and all of it worth it. And to make history and do it with my grandparents were there. That was amazing. And my aunt, my cousins, and my uncle and my wife, everyone was there to see it. So I don't know if it's sunk in, but I mean, it's a great feeling.
Wait, so they all flew from Atlanta area, not knowing where they're from? Did they come from? Oh, but I was like, dang, that's an entourage to go across the country.
No, my aunt and my cousins and everybody there, they actually live in Sparks, so it's about a 40-minute drive to Mount Rose.
Nice.
Actually, they've lived there my whole life, and I grew up snowboarding on Mount Rose when I was a kid. So
wow,
location for me. And then my grandparents live in New Mexico, so they flew out for it. And then of course, my wife Sarah came with me from it. So yeah.
Yeah, what an entourage you had. Again, us watching the races via the live stream, I was like, dang, either that's a lot of randos giving her high fives and loving on her, or you brought a big family, group, and you brought a group. That's impressive. That's impressive.
Year, but we did have some people who brought their shirts from last year and wore them, so that was pretty cool to see. And yeah, it's always a great feeling having the community rally behind you. So stoked to not just have my family there, but also a lot of my one wheel family and my friends.
Yeah, so when we were talking about the race leading up over the last couple of weeks, you were always the question mark for us. It was we know you're talented, but we also know you've had a lot of life happen. You got married during Dirt Surfer weekend, so that's why you weren't there. You went to the Riders Summit out in California, but then you flew back. You didn't even go to the race out there that weekend. So it's and sometimes it just happens. Life gets going, and you don't have time to train and stuff. So it was a question. What do you do when it comes to the bracket? I had you coming out in second place out of the first heat. I was like, I think she's got it. And then you blew that whole heat. We'll talk about the heat in a second because that was a wild heat. Because just what took place. We're going to play it, and then you can kind of narrate what's going through your mind as you rewatch it. How many times have you rewatched your race?
This race just once. Before next year's Race for the Rail, I'll probably watch it a bunch more. I race a ton over the off season, but just once this time, so it'll be cool to see the heat.
Now, did you have any camera? Last year we got to watch your POV of the run. Did you have any cameras on you this time?
So, unfortunately, the marketing team didn't have the cameras synced up. So they had originally put it on our visor, the little case, and then when it came time to get off the bus, they weren't synced up. They're like, oh, like, sorry, like, we're not going to have them this year. No POV cameras this year, unfortunately, at least on the women's side. Maybe they'll have one for Tyler, which would be pretty sick. But yeah.
I loved hearing your commentary to yourself.
Yeah.
That was so cool. Like, you can take that into so many areas of life, and you just, like, it was so cool to watch.
Thank you.
It really was. Now, I do know, because Onewheel dropped late last night, and men's recap, a different angle of the race, so they had a few POVs going that you got to see clipped in there. Bummer not to get yours, because yours is so memorable from the year before. It really is. Yeah. For anyone that's needing to pick me up today, go to Onewheel's YouTube channel. Go, like, scroll back a year ago, and you'll get Rachel Cecil talking to herself going down the hill. And it was so epic. It really was. So let's get to some personal stuff before we get to the race. You've been married, May, June, July, August, September, 4 months. How's Lily's been married for 2. So,
yeah, so, like, literally, Rachel, yesterday I was like, it's only been 2 months. Like, part of me, and this isn't bad, but part of me is like, it feels longer. So have you had that feeling? And how's married life?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's kind of crazy that it's only been 4 months. Sarah and I have been together, for 5 years, and then we've lived together for 3. So our relationship is pretty solid, but after we got married, we were somehow, like, even more obsessed with each other, which was kind of fun. But it's been really great. It's just kind of this solidness. Like, we're not going anywhere. Like, it's us till the end, and yeah, it's been pretty great. How about you? How's the 2 months been going?
It's great. I love it too. We have so much fun. I've been, like, a few of my friends are starting dating relationships, and I'm, like, telling them, like, this is a really fun season, but it changes. Now we just play, like, all the time. Like, my husband has a broken foot right now, and I, like, jumped on him yesterday, and he was like, I can't carry you like that. And then I was like, you picked me up the other day. And then he, like, awkward moment went by, and he just, like, grabbed me, like, flung me over. He's a big guy, so he likes to, yeah, it was so funny. So, like, now we're just, like, playing all the time. And the environment, like, the culture changes a little bit, which I love.
The culture? I've never heard
the relationship.
I've just never heard anyone explain it that way. That's new. I'm going to file that one away.
I don't know how else to describe it, but now we just play a lot more.
It's a title change, like, it is, like, the world you differently. Like, you go to events together and it's like, oh, they're a married couple. Like, that's not just, like, boyfriend girlfriend or girlfriend girlfriend or whatever. So I don't know exactly what you mean.
I do think that title, and this is not what the podcast is about, but I think the title changes the commitment level, I think, to people around, like, oh, you took a step of commitment in it. And I think that's what happens with that title, is like, oh, this isn't a trial, this isn't oh no, you guys are in it. So it's pretty cool.
Wait, I have one more question. Did you and Sarah get married on Dirt Surfer weekend?
Yes.
Like, was it?
Yes.
It was literally that weekend. What's your anniversary date?
May 18th.
That's crazy. We were all in Arkansas. How fun.
Yeah, we were. Like, and then I keep pointing to, and I said this to you in person, but man, your Instagram handle is Cecil Diesel, right?
Diesel
Cecil. Sorry,
I was going to say earlier.
Diesel
Cecil.
Diesel Cecil. Correct me anytime. But on your Instagram feed, you posted your pictures from the wedding, and they were awesome.
I'll have to go look at those.
They are awesome, Lil.
Cool.
Mother Nature provided some of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you guys just look great. So I was blown away with the pictures. Coming back from Dirt Surfer, saw them, I was like, whoa. So give it a look, Lil. You'll love it.
That's awesome.
And when I say Mother Nature, can you explain to those, what's he mean? But what is it, a tornado in the background?
That'd be crazy. So
he got eloped in the Black Balsam Forest outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And if you've ever been to that forest, like, when you enter it, it's kind of like you're going into a different world. Like, it's such a special place. And we were expecting, classic summer wedding. We were going to do the hike and, like, have sunset photos. It was going to be very classic. Mother Nature said, no, we're going to get 40-degree weather in May. It's going to be raining, and you're going to experience the craziest fog of your life. But our photographer did an amazing job. Our officiant said that a wet knot is a strong knot. So we
that's good.
I'm filing that away.
Yeah, you're an officiant as well. You can use that for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the fog was cool. It was pretty neat.
I mean, I say this loosely because I don't know if you like the movies Twilight, but what it felt like was like in that environment of like, it looks like somebody pumped in haze for pictures and stuff.
Cool.
Regardless if you like the Twilight movies, the scenery is phenomenal.
Is really good.
It is Forks, Washington.
Yeah, it was just so cool.
Yeah,
Say that one more time, Rachel.
Oh, it was a very Twilight wedding. Like, we didn't intend for it, but we've embraced it.
That's awesome.
Well done. Okay, let's get to the race. Thank you for allowing us to check in with your personal life. We realize here on our Scott Mendenhall and Friends that everyone's humans and we all have lives, and we want to know what's going on in people's lives and celebrate all those things as well. But you are the reigning champ, two-time champ. You hold the sword from last year behind you. It's that's the old one.
The new one's
Please tell everyone why the new one's not there, because some people will not understand.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We had to ship it. I actually, took my ratchet wrench for my axle bolts because it was longer than 7 inches.
Whoa.
So definitely putting the sword on the plane. My uncle's gonna get it shipped out to me. So right now we just got the OG sword from last year, and the blue one's on its way.
Awesome.
Wielding 2 swords, that's awesome.
So awesome.
Okay, you're rolling into race week. A lot was dropped by Onewheel, and then the temptation by Onewheel to ride these things. They dropped new tires. Then they give an incentive to you, the racers. Hey, we'll give you $1,500 credit to Onewheel if you ride all stock, meaning board, not stock, but Onewheel products. Did you fall for that temptation? What was your mindset going into that?
That's so great.
What were you thinking when all of that was happening, pre-race stuff? You're coming in from Atlanta. What were you going with?
Yeah, literally as soon as I got that email, I texted Bodie at the Float Life, and I was like, hey, can you have an enduro for me for race day? Because we could change our tires, and he got it shipped out to me immediately, or it shipped to my aunt's house in Reno. So I had that waiting for me. There was no chance I was going to race on that tire. There's no chance my back tail. Like I said at the event, I've been training a lot with mountain bikers, and they do a lot of different mountain bike races, and they really drilled into me all season, nothing new on race day.
Right.
Just don't. And so I had that going into it. I felt really great on my board. I spent a lot of time on it with that setup, and the enduro is nice because it comes in already kind of broken in. So I didn't really have to worry about it. It wasn't like a Vega or anything like that. And I did ride on the new tire, and I came off the logs the first time, and I literally face planted. It was really, I had my on, of course, so I was fully padded up, so I was fine. But yeah, the thing just it kept rolling on me. I think Floaty said that the circumference of the tire is larger, 7 inches, but the radius the diameter or whatever is actually shorter, smaller than the enduro. It's actually a more narrow tire in that aspect. So I was like, oh wow, that's why it's a little bit more swirly. So I was there for 10K. I was not going to play around with $1,500 of store credit, or I did not need another Onewheel either. I have too many Onewheels, and also if I did a good job, I could probably also lock down another pro card, and so I was in it for that.
Yeah, and well played. I was thinking about it this morning, knowing we were going to talk with you today. I was like, you say no to $1,500 store credit to get $10,000. Sometimes the temptation is, ooh, I get this shiny little thing over here, and you're missing the big shiny thing over here.
Is that what the pro card is? Is that what she's referring to?
Tell everyone.
I have 2 questions. That's one of them.
Okay, what's the pro card?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be reversed, but I did set it out because I knew I was going to bring it up. So this is the pro card. Not a lot of people know about these. This is the first year that they did it, was last year. With the pro card, you get a travel budget, you get free repairs from Future Motion, and you get an accessories budget as well. So kind of whatever you need. And then they did tell us that they were going to be handing out 6 more pro cards this year. So they go out to people who are, pushing the sport, kind of providing positiveness and stuff to the community, and overall good sportsmanship and awesome Onewheel racing. So I did find out yesterday I did secure another pro card, so it was a risk well paid off.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback on that question? Is that something that they do Like for the year, every year, like you get it for the year and then you have to earn it again? You don't just get it forever. Okay, that makes sense. That's amazing. Cool. I love that. I love hearing Future Motion do that because sometimes there's a little bit of backlash that they don't step in and do this or pay to get us out there, or this, that, whatever. They're doing a lot. You guys, is all your swag, everything you got, your jerseys was sweet. Everything looked amazing.
No,
so
I wanted them.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's all of our kids said that they wanted. They're like, we want this person's jersey. We want this for So
no, Rachel knows. Like when Lily's saying "Go Pro, Scott," Rachel knows Scott's a joke. Scott's a joke.
No, you can do
I
it.
scale for life.
Like, don't put words in my mouth.
No, she knows. I said.
She just was like, no, you.
I said she know. I love riding. I can ride on all terrain. I don't have the speed.
You're a pro in our neighborhood.
I want to run. Like I literally like running.
I get it.
And so
running is nice too.
I want to go for a 10-mile run, and so I scale so I can run. But I love to ride my one wheel and be good at it. I'm just no pro. Like the story, and I always want to say it about Allie and Rachel. We're going through the Redwood Forest in California, and I'm doing fine. I'm not I loved it. I enjoyed it. I'm sightseeing. I'm a tourist through the woods. But the pros, you're zipping through.
Yeah. And
you guys finally must have had enough. I feel bad for Scott, and so let's ride Switch.
Love it.
No, not all Scott. It was. I like to ride Switch on trails, and no one ever wants to play that game with me. They're like, you're crazy. But Allie will almost always play with me. So I'm like, let's ride Switch. And she was like, okay, no hesitation. And she actually kicked my butt riding Switch. I was really impressed. She did have flight fins, which I think helped her.
Oh,
for sure.
Kept falling, and then Scott was there, so we had like a witness, and then we were all kind of back, and it was a lot of fun. That was a really good memory, is riding Switch and hanging out. And you were like,
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Let's ride Switch. Oh, and this guy can keep up with us.
Yeah. Now we have all the race. We have footage of it. Rachel, we're building a new studio. And so in the next couple of weeks we'll be done and we can start editing those things. But we have all that footage from that weekend. You're in it. We've already edited down the 360s of it. So we've seen all the footage. It looks so great. You guys are right there. I think at one point you took a mildly decent fall in the Switch ride. We believe we have that on the 360. But it was impressive to watch. Thank you so much for riding with me or allowing me to ride with you. It was a good weekend. And so let's get back to this past weekend. You're stayed with your stuff. Now, did you use the new custom shaping at all?
So I kind of went into it thinking I was not going to use the custom shaping. And then I was like, I need to use the custom shaping because other people. So I did end up playing around with it. And I actually really liked it. So the things I changed, obviously I did the sensor thing. Everybody did the sensor thing. And that just like keeps it engaged maybe less than a second longer or something. It keeps it engaged longer. So if you're going down like a couple drops, it's not going to disengage on you. So that's awesome. I also changed, so I ride in Highline. I changed my aggression to, I think 2, maybe 1 or 2. I changed my enhanced braking to a 2. So you can go real fast and then brake real hard. So that was a big one. The interesting thing with that braking is when you're riding slow downhill, the regen on that is enhanced as well. So in the second heat, we had to ride from where the bus dropped us off, probably half a mile kind of downhill to the start line. And my board went to 100%. So I had to have like Matt Holcomb hop the board and ride it around to like get the battery down to where I needed it for the race, which was ideally around 90. We were all regenning on that race. It was insane. And the same thing happened to RACHEAL as well. Can't ride slow downhill if you're at 90% with the braking. And then, did I change it? I don't think I played with anything else. Yeah, just those 2. I didn't play with any of the like carbability stuff. I was like, no, it's fine. Oh, I did change the nose. So I had the nose down 2 degrees because the new Highline firmware didn't quite feel the same as the old Highline I was training on. The pushback seemed a little bit more aggressive, and that was kind of something that people were saying. So I dropped my nose down 2 degrees for the first 2 heats. And then I knew on that third heat that I needed to get the whole shot. So I really needed to put more weight over my nose. And so I adjusted it on the last heat to only be down 1 degrees so that I could have a little bit more wiggle room and not drag my nose. And it freaking worked. So
it worked.
I loved it. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Wow.
I have a question about all of that. So specifically for like whatever custom it was with the regen, enhanced braking. In hindsight, do you feel like you would have liked more time to experience that? And would you change anything with the regen, or would you do it the same way? Knowing that like during the race, like knowing when you were going downhill, that you were technically risking a little bit of like getting too high in percentage.
Yeah. I think in an ideal world, we would have had custom shaping 3 weeks and 3 weeks before the race, you know? But it didn't happen like that. I don't really, I think I played my like practice and my training and everything going that week like really smart. What am I going to do whenever it gets released? I don't know. Am I going to play around with it a little bit more? I might. It's pretty complicated. Like, it is pretty impressive what they did with the custom shaping when you compare it to like custom shaping for the XR. I think people are really going to like it and be pretty interested in like playing around with it. So yeah.
That's cool.
It's fun to hear you say it almost is too many options. Because I think that's for me, not everybody, but what keeps me kind of away from Vesk is it's too many options to jack around with. And if I just tweak a slider and go, I think this, and then I can't remember where I was at, now all of a sudden I kind of like simplicity. I like hopping on my board. I like when I get what I like and just go, but options can make it overwhelming at times. I keep calling that the Netflix effect. Have you ever sat down and think, I'm going to watch a movie, and then all you do is watch trailers because you can't decide? You just watch one trailer after another. It's too many options to decide. And so I can't wait for us Joes to get a hold of the custom shaping. Okay, so we've got to hear some of your setup here. When you talk about you did speak of your back. Did you have, what was your back? Why am I drawing a blank?
Footpad?
Footpad, thank you. Your back footpad was a what?
I had the Kush wide footpad
Okay.
on the. Yeah, I need that with for the shock absorbing nature
Yeah.
of it. I broke my ankle pretty bad in 2019, so I have a lot of hardware in there. And with the hard plastic foot pads that the Future Motion sells, it's just like gives me a lot of pain. So anything to help the shock absorbing other than my insoles and my knees is good.
Okay, there you have it. And then last question, and then we're going to play your first heat, and then we're going to go to the final. Your PSI on your Enduro was set to what? Ish. You're like, I don't know that.
Yeah, so I mean, I was training at like 14, 15 here in Atlanta, but the altitude was, I think, 4 times higher there in
Wow.
Montrose. So I know I dropped it down a little bit. I didn't check it, but if I were to guess, it was probably at like 10 or 11 pounds
Okay.
for PSI.
And we have to ask these questions because when this video is being played live, people are going to ask
This
these
is what
questions over
everybody
here in the
wants to
chat.
know.
Yeah, they're going to be like, what was her PSI? Like, that's somehow we've gotten under the thinking that PSI is everything when you ride. And it's like, yeah, it has a little bit to do with it. It's a lot of the rider. The rider has a lot to do with it. Okay, so we're going to get to your first heat. And when we hit play here, we'll let you walk us through. It's the heat with you, Mercedes. Mercedes was ranked number 1 and the favorite when it came to the brackets. 32% of brackets were picking her to be number 1. Then you have Sarah Meeker and you have Kay Love in this heat, right? Those are your 4. Yep. And you'll as you guys rewatch this, she's going to kind of walk us through the event. We'll put it up full screen, but we'll be able to hear you, okay?
Okay.
All right. Here's heat number 1 from Race to the Rail this past weekend, narrated by our champ, Rachel. Let's hear. Here it is. You are in the
All right.
brown jersey, right?
Yes. Yeah. So coming into the single track, I'm in third. I'm like, don't panic. This is fine.
You look like you're like, don't panic.
Yeah. I knew Mercedes was probably going to get the whole shot. She's really fast on the line, and she's an incredible rider. So I wasn't too worried about her getting it and setting the pace. I knew I just needed to get second. Then she went down, and I was like, oh, snap. That's crazy. So I was like, time for me to set the pace if I can get around Kay on these rocks. And I, during practice, had been hitting that right line she had hit. But race day, I crashed on it for the first time. So I was like, no, we're going to keep it safe. Go to the right. So went on the right in the logs, zipped around her before the logs, which felt pretty cool to get that pass in. And then cleaned it. And then freaking got a lot of speed. This is where I hit 28 miles per hour, which was on the straightaway. I knew that even if Mercedes went down, she could catch me. So I was like, absolutely not. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to push it really hard on this first heat, just try to keep it as clean as possible. This one was pretty fun. On the like angle shifts, you could catch a little bit of air off of them. So it's kind of like a little bit fun. This berm right here was my favorite feature on the course. It was a heel side turn for me. So it was kind of like, you know, you can use your booty and kind of swing it around. It was really fun. Single track going. This was pretty fun. It's the same as last year. I ate it on those rocks during practice, so I really spent a lot of time there picking out the best line, and I thought I had a really smooth line on the left. And then in here, you know, the shadows are pretty crazy. I had transitional lenses on my glasses, so they would adjust with the amount of light we had. So they adjusted pretty clearly through the course. They're mountain bike glasses. And then going through that whole section, I mean, and just watching this here, like they've replayed that clip from last year so many times. And so every time there, I was like flashing back to that POV video and like everything last year. So it was just a crazy feeling. Come around the corner, keep it easy, keep it simple, get it through it, get the W. I was like, okay, let's go. Keeping it calm. I knew I had a couple more to go. Just had to stay nice and calm.
And no one was behind you. I mean, the gap. Like when you were saying a moment ago, you know, I had to push it hard. I got to go. You were untouched. I know you didn't know that in the race, but as a fan at home, I was like, even if you had a catastrophic fall, I think you were. It was yours that day. Let's back up in the race and ask a few questions now that you walked us through.
Yeah.
I mean, at home. We're watching it. Most of us picked in the house. You 1 and 2, or you coming out of this heat in 1 or 2, and what happens is Mercedes falls, and we're like, did it register to you, or was it just like you're so in race mode you just were going?
Yeah, race isn't over till it's over. So I'm gonna freaking go as fast and be as competitive as I can when I'm out there. I mean, it didn't register, I think, until she came across the finish line, you know? Like, it was just a really unexpected upset. Yeah. I was stoked for Sarah Meeker. I have been chatting with her all season long. I think a really strong contender in the next couple years. She was already a strong contender. She was a rookie, so, like, she's got some racing lessons to learn, which is great. We've all been there. But I was really proud of her to come in through second, and I was so stoked. So.
Yeah, we've called her the dark horse. Sarah Meeker here was the dark horse. We kept saying...
we got a chance to meet her at Dirt Surfers. Well, we met her first at Windman last year, and then we really got to spend a little bit of time with her at Dirt Surfers. She's not afraid of anything.
No.
Like, she's like, let's just go and blitz this. So we said that a lot about her. Like, she would just get on there and say, we're doing this, you know? So it was kind of fun to see her
We
do
said
so well.
if somebody falls, she'll be there, and it played out that way. And then I was sitting there going, oh, boy, she could do it. Like, you just felt that sense for her that it could happen. Now, the cards were dealt a little bit different. But you come out of that just, I mean, if there was any question marks of how you were going to do.
First heat.
All the naysayers, you squashed it in that first heat. You looked so flawless.
Thank you.
I think sorry about that. I like what you said, that you did not kind count Mercedes out because she can, that girl's fast, you know? And so, but for you, it just changed at the very beginning of the race. It looks like you're like just staying chill, staying calm, just riding, and then nope, game on, let's go. And so it is exactly how you described it during the race is exactly what we were feeling with you.
Yeah. Yeah, we were saying, I think we were shouting like to you through the TV, don't slow down, don't look back, because you don't want to look back on the wheel, on a one wheel, and just go. It was an impressive first heat. You go to second heat, and you do very well. I mean, you get to the final heat. I feel like your next heat, if I remember right, I didn't rewatch it today, Rachel, but your next heat wasn't really eventful at all. It was just like everybody win, and it was for the most part right. Like no big falls. Heat number 1 was the shocker, and so well done. And so you make it to the final heat. How did you guys get to pick your position to line up in the final heat?
Yeah, so I guess just kind of going into that. Sitting on that bus with those girls on the way up. The 4 of us have been racing together for like 3 years, if we're counting like the earliest alley. And so it was really cool to be on the bus with them and be like, hey, it's one of us this year. Like one of us.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, we need to ride fast down this hill so we don't over regen. I'm going to go. So I hopped on board. I'm like, let's make history, ladies. And then I took off. And then we get to the start. And because I was ranked 12th, I didn't get a gate. I got like last pick in every heat. So I was really hoping not to get that far right gate that I had in the first heat because that's just tough.
Yeah.
And Rachel picked that one. I was like, yes, I get the inside. So I got that. And I knew I needed to get the whole shot. Like I had to.
Okay,
so,
and before we move on, because you've used the word whole shot, I used it all the time, and I think there's people listening today that are going, what's the whole shot? My boys are in cross country, and last night we were talking about one of them was taking off. There's a couple hundred people taking off at the starting line, and Epic and I are talking, you got to get the whole shot. And I could see his teammates looking at us like, I don't know what that word means. Epic's cluing in. He's like, I know what I got to do. And then afterwards, I go, hey, did you tell him what a whole shot was? He's like, no. I was like, no one knows what that is. So can you tell us and the viewers what is a whole shot?
Yeah, like in my own words, I think it's the first one out the gate and the first one to the first feature, right? So the first feature here being the same track. And once you get the whole shot, you get to set the pace of the race. And I knew this course was really difficult to pass on, and I knew out of the 4 of us, like I was probably the closest that I could hit 30 on the straightaway after the logs if I could clean it. So I could pull away a little bit there. And so I was ready, gate drops. I get my hips way over the nose because I had trained this and I knew shoulders isn't going to do it for me. With women, you got to get your hips over the nose. That's how you're going to get the whole shot because that's where we carry most of our weight. If you watch it, it's so exaggerated. And I had actually practiced it in the parking lot before I got on the bus going up because I needed to drain battery and wanted to.
Well, let's play it. We'll play it here and everybody will get to see it because there's a fine line of putting too much weight and then it just nosediving on you, right? So here is your final run, and as you're speaking, wanting to get the whole shot, this is the final run of the Women's Championship of Race for the Rails right here. Let's hear it from the racer.
Yeah, so my hips are way over, and I got the whole shot. I was like, okay, keep going. And then I was like, all right, we can slow down right here now. So slow down.
Yeah, you could see you hit the brakes hard there.
Yeah, we were all kind of doing that. You don't want to carry too much speed into that single track because it was a little bit off camber. And it would throw you if you hit a rock in there. So you got to keep it nice and clean. So going through here, then there was a little rock garden we approached. I hit that left line again, kept it nice and clean. I almost ate it after that, though. I, kind of got thrown into the bushes. There's, a picture of me being but I cleaned it fine. I held on to it, hit the logs, cleaned those logs. Those logs were so stressful. I crashed on them. It was rough. So I really took my time on them. Hit it, and speed wobbles. Went into the sperm, nice and clean, not too much speed. after that berm, it was pretty like choppy afterwards. They did a good job of trying to clean it up, but it was still pretty choppy. Off of the bridge, Rachel Payne's right behind me. She's so fast, so we got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah, I was nervous for you with her behind you because I was like, she has some speed.
Well, and we also, she's worked a lot on passing people. Like, she had shared that she's been really practicing how to get around people.
All right, you all are pretty close here. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, I knew I did not set a breakneck speed, right? But I knew that I was carrying enough speed and had enough distance between Rach and I had practiced the final a lot, that I was confident. I don't think I could have gotten past, because that distance was just big enough. But if Rachel had passed me, I would have been so stoked for her. Like,
that's so sweet.
But there is. Look at that distance. I mean,
yeah.
All of you were spread out pretty far, but it's one fall away. That's the crazy thing about this sport. Here you are coming in.
Yeah, she was maybe 2 seconds behind me on the finish line. Like, it was pretty, but it didn't need to be very much more. I really didn't want to crash. Everyone kept it clean. Nobody got hurt, and that's all for, you know.
I thought you were going to jump 2 feet off your one wheel as soon as it looked like you were loading to jump. You could just feel the excitement. Yeah. I mean,
it was different this year because they had people off, so like there wasn't a rush of people, which is safer. But it was like,
this time though, last year I did chuckle. Last year when you were pulling the sword out last year, how much champagne they were spraying on you. You had to say stop eventually. Like, I can't see. Like, I mean, yeah. Clearly, those that are spraying you in the face have never had champagne in their eyes. It burns. But this year, they have the champagne at the finish line, and they're chasing you with the champagne, which I did laugh at. But how did it feel coming across knowing you did it?
It was just like, probably the biggest feeling was relief, you know? It was like, relief again, and that I had worked so hard and like put so much time into it, and I didn't lose it at the last second, and I didn't make a mistake. Like, I felt like if I went out there and rode the trail to the best of my ability, I was going to be pretty hard to beat. And anybody that was going to beat me, I was going to be like, hats off to you, dude. Like, you freaking did it. And so when that didn't happen, I didn't get past. It was just like, oh my gosh, I freaking did it.
Yeah.
You know?
You did. And you didn't fall at all, right? Like, you had clean runs every time. And not many of the racers this weekend can say that. And I think consistency is the name of the game when it comes to racing one wheels. You got to stay on the board. It's hard. We saw it with Mercedes. She's fast, but she fell twice. Still came in third, but you got to stay on your board. And you did it.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah.
Okay, as we wrap this up, are you going to come back and defend the title again?
Oh, yeah.
No question.
There are a lot of more races this year because this last year was the last year that the former winner gets an automatic bid.
Oh.
So, yeah, I got to earn my spot. I really hope that they're able to give us a premier sanctioned event on the East Coast before Race for the Rail. Because that was a little messed up. But
yeah.
it's expensive, you know, especially for like something like Seek and Shred. Like, I'm on the East Coast. It's going to be expensive if I want to go like camp out there and race, you know?
Yes.
Surfers, I'll make it out to dirt surfers, but it is like a 12-hour drive for me. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of do that this year, but I'm going to do it next year.
Yeah, I think I say this, Rachel. I think when it comes to Race for the Rail, they've got to, and I get it, One Wheel's trying to figure it all out, so they ain't got it sorted out, but they got to put these sanctioned events across the United States to get the East, West, and Midwest. Like, you almost need to do 4, like dirt surfers is for the Midwest South. You kind of have to have I think, somewhere maybe Chicago to get Northern Midwest. You got to have something out by the Atlanta area to get that. It's just because it is expensive. And for those in California, like I believe this weekend, a lot of the racers were still from California area because they can get to more of the races. They're going to score more points.
Yeah.
So.
Sports kind of you got to pay to play situation. And
yep.
I think one of we weren't able to have an East Coast one this year is because where the old Wheel Scorcher, that bike park was kind of closed down this year because they're doing some renovation. And so Wheel Scorcher is traditionally the event, which I freaking love. That's Fire Mountain. Those courses are amazing. If you guys haven't made it out there, you should do it. So hopefully Wheel Scorcher comes back next year. We'll have a premier sanction event, so I don't have to go out west and like play the points game if I can get the win. You know.
Yes.
There. But I'll be ready for it. Yeah.
Good. That's going to be so fun to watch. My girls they're excited for you. They were excited just to watch how you raced. As soon as you talked about enduro tire, they look at me, because especially young people, they follow the champs, and they're like, do I need to get an enduro tire, Dad? Now that Mercedes rides them, and now Rachel rides them, should I get an enduro, Dad? Would that make me faster? I'm like, yeah, get a job first.
What's your girls?
Icon is
12?
12.
11 and 12.
11, thank you.
Very
Rachel,
cool. Yeah.
We
gotta
have,
tell them if they want a tire, you gotta learn how to change the tire as well. Because I changed like 3 tires. Race for the rail, change it for my cousins and for myself. But I'm like, hey, if they can change it, I would sponsor them.
Yeah, I thank you.
That's awesome.
They tell that to all of my children because there's 8 of them, and so 6 of them race, and they all want these different tires and stuff. Well, that's me changing their tires, and it's like, hey, you got to learn something. Thank you. I'm gonna record that part and just send it to them.
It's gonna be their alarm clock.
Yeah. If you want a tire, learn how to change it. Rachel, we know you. Go ahead.
Tires, and they can change tires for their friends and make money and buy their own tires. So
she's a genius.
Not only is Rachel fast on a one-wheeler, she's packed full of wisdom, folks, right here. Wisdom rider right here. Thank you, Rachel, for helping us parent our children. You are awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything we forgot to ask or you wanted to say? We know you're on your lunch break. You got to get back to work, probably grab a snack. Anything you feel like, hey, I want to say this as we end this?
Yeah, I think one thing I want to say is like people can say like what they want about Future Motion, right? There's a lot that they could do better, but one of the things like that they've done since 2021 that a lot of sports can't say that they've done is off the bat, women and men have the same prize pool. That is something that I'm so proud of for them and like so honored that they've done that because it's not a small prize pool either. Like 10K is a lot of money. And they said, no, like we are going to support women's racing. We are going to make it equal. And that's freaking sick. And the only other thing that like isn't necessarily like equal is like the number of racers. But like the women racing is a bit of a minority. Like there's going to be less of us.
It's growing.
It's growing.
Yeah. Like 6 of us racing. And now there's like 50 something.
Yep.
So you're watching this and you've kind of always wanted to be out there like racing. Like all you got to do is be brave and like be brave for one, and everybody on the women's side, we're so supportive of each other. Like you can reach out to me, you can reach out to any one of us if you want some tips or like just boost your confidence, but like get out there. Like if you're curious, like get out there. We want you out there. Anybody can come out and blow us out of the water. Like Mercedes kind of came out of nowhere and she is one of the most talented riders we have right now. And she so want to see you out there.
That's awesome.
I like it.
That's
and then
so
I like
good.
it. I think that, to your point, the only reason why the field, or like, maybe we should have addressed this before, but like what men had 16 finalists and there was 12 for women. And that's not because Onewheel's deciding to hold back on it. It's just there's not as many racers. And so we need more women showing up riding. I think as a dad that has 2 little girls that are riding and they're racing, they race at Dirt Surfers, they'll race at women. They need role models to keep getting them in the sport and tell them what's possible in racing. And so get them out there racing. This is not a sport holding back women. It's women holding back themselves. That like, come on, get out there, ride. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be, but it's like women saying, "Oh, I shouldn't go do that. I can't do that." No, get out there. I'm with you. Thank you for saying that.
That's great.
That's the stuff that inspires my little girls to get out there and keep racing and doing it.
Oh yeah. I mean, like 10, 15 years from now, like this sport is so young, and even women's sport itself is super young. Like, women's sports really didn't start kicking off until like 1972 with Title IX. So like, there's a reason that there's less of us, but it's growing. You got people like me, Mercedes, Raquel, Rachel, Allie, who are like setting that standard. Like, we're not taking lines. We're hitting the drops. We're freaking hitting the berms, jumps, and the logs, you know? We're setting that standard, and it's going to trickle down, and, you know, 5, 10 years, especially when Zoe Miller comes out. It's going to be incredible. So I'm pushing for that, and I just wanted to shout out Future Motion for setting that standard as well and giving us that opportunity, which is
awesome.
Really cool.
Yeah, and just to finish what you're saying, and it's got to be mentioned because people just they take it for granted. It wasn't a women's course, men's course. It was all the same. And that's been the same thing the whole time. There's not, even when you show up to like dirt servers, here's women's trails and men's trails. No, this is the pro line. Take it or leave it. And I love that. I think that's how this sport is going to be able to set its place in the history of women and men's sports on how to do it moving forward. So thank you, Rachel, for your time today. It was an honor to have you here on our podcast. Again, you can go follow her on Instagram. It is Diesel Cecil. Look at my wife there, make sure I get it right. And you're going to have to come back because we didn't get to talk about your training and all this. Obviously, you were training because you blew it out of the water. But that was what everybody was asking. Like, is she training? Is she riding? What is she doing? You know. So obviously, you're putting in the work, and we'd love to hear more about that and how you get ready, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can't give away all my secrets.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, you don't have to give them all.
We'll check in with you again, Rachel. Enjoy the new sword when it shows up and the $10,000. Go watch the race. They asked her how she would spend the $10,000 before she won it. Go watch the race. You'll see her answer there. That's a little carrot for everybody to go watch the live stream sitting on the channel. They do a great job interviewing each of the racers between each heats. Rachel, enjoy a very quick lunch and enjoy the rest of the workday, okay?
Bye, Rachel.
Thanks,
Bye.
Thank you.
What a champion right there.
She's super kind, too, which always makes it more fun.
Oh, man.
And she said it like having the young girls come up, like reach out, ask questions. Like Mercedes, they are all amazing. Rachel Payne, everybody is so willing to like help, and they don't necessarily consider themselves like the pros, but we're all like they're the pros. So, but it's great. It's great to run into all these guys at different events and things like that.
What a great day of being able to check in with all the champions. If you're still watching, obviously this one is a little bit longer, special edition as we wrap up, put a bookend to Race to the Rail 2023. Tyler James first, and then right into a pre-recorded interview with the female champ, Rachel Cecil. It's just a set of great humans. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We always have Onewheel content dropping. We do a podcast on Wednesdays, typically at 2:30, and then we have rando videos drop in on reviews and other thoughts that we're doing some races we do of our own. We're just Joes. We're not pros, but we love hanging on one wheels, and it's a blast. This community is wonderful. Onewheel is doing a great job. Can't wait to get our feet on the custom shaping. Getting to hear all of those different pieces from the racers has been so exciting. We'll have many more pros on this podcast to see how their race went for them over the next coming weeks. So we're excited about those things. It's been a beautiful day, and enjoy. Seriously, right? To talk to all the champs and how they did it and what they were riding. I hope you learned something. Hope you were inspired today. This was the Scot Mendenhall and Friends podcast with your champs of the 2023 Race for the Rails Onewheel races. It's been awesome, everybody. Have a fabulous day. Bye. Adios.